Yeah, lots of choices. A big decision to be made. A choice that could alter our very lives. A massive moment. Food for thought, if you will. Brother, it's lunch. I can't even, like, the game's already started. Please, can you just choose what you're actually wanting to eat? Yeah, sound. I'll get the fries, please.
These chips are fucking class. Regardless of what goes on.
My food on the floor. Devastation. A second chance, perhaps. The biggest decision that's been made in my life since approximately 12
Oh my days.
Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, in France, there was daylight robbery. No, I'm not talking about PSG getting £50 million for Taliban Welugade. The French crown jewels were stolen in a heist in broad daylight. I didn't even know this shit happened in real life. That's actually insane. Security guards were not doing their job properly on some random morning in October. But listen, I might have a lead. Hello at Police of France. I can confirm I know the identity of the man who did it. This is probably just a French football club, to be honest with you. Desperate to actually make a little bit of cash. All right, we've got the budgets for the new season. All right, yeah. Transfer budget is, £14.75. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that? On to the football, though, now. And I can't lie, lads, yeah. Near a local, it might be closed for business. I can't do this, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. We might have to cancel the episode.
No way. Say what I got. Say what lie, bro.
We gotta switch up the whole time frame at this point. This is croquet this month. Oh, how expeditiously extendable. Local charity Liverpool Football Club decided to make their latest donation to Manchester United as Ruben Amorim claimed his first back-to-back wins as manager. We lost to Amorim. Please, nah, not after everything I've said.
I'm rapidly falling out of love with football.
We gave Ruben Amorim a dub. This has gone too far. I made a special video on it here with my immediate thoughts, but I genuinely couldn't believe what we had contributed to. A win bonus has only ever dropped in his NatWest account 9 times, and we decided we were going to make it 10. Depression started early in this one as Brian and Burmo committed bald-on-bald crime when he gave the Red Devils the lead in 62 seconds. Virgil van Dijk, meanwhile, was distracted. Now, trust me, 62 seconds is a long time. Right? I swear someone said that. But in a match like this, it is absolutely despicable. We needed to bounce back in the Premier League, not concede to one of the most out-of-form teams after a minute. Alexis McAllister had used his head for the first time this season. Unfortunately, it was to get injured with it. The game really should have been stopped, but Michael Oliver decided not to. And I hope this incident would knock some sense into McAllister, but alas, it didn't work. I need you to concentrate, man, not do the 100 meters backstroke.
You look stupid. Take that shit off.
Instead, we were holding back shots. United fans were wanting 7 goals as revenge just 2 minutes in. This is how far we've fallen. Milos Kerkez was doing up foul throws, and honestly, at this point, Milos, you're losing the crowd at this stage. I'm really struggling to back you. And Arne Slot's team talk, instead of bringing on Hugo Ekitike and Florian Wirtz, wasn't exactly productive. We still looked pretty unstable at the back, to be honest, and Arne was struggling to contain his frustration at Ibrahim Konate when the Frenchman was dribbled past by Mateus Cunha for a 17th time.
You're a little fucking...
We did eventually equalise through Cody Gakpo after he tested the structural integrity of the goalpost, but then, oh wait, hang on a second, what's that flying through the air? Harry Maguire won it for Manchester United. Nah, I can't even do this segment. Alright, run an ad break, bro. Are you wanting a health kick? Then try our new water-flavoured juice. Surely that's just water, bruv, I swear. Like, all of the sugar of juice with absolutely none of the flavour benefits whatsoever. Why would I want that, bruv? What's even the target audience? Harry Maguire's now got more goals and assists at Anfield than 1.8 billion Venezuelan pesos worth of ballers. All I'm saying is, darling, I ain't balls. Do you know what I'm saying? So get me. And this sent United fans into raptures, or into seizures in one case. Can we check on this guy if he's alright? Because I think he might have got electrocuted. Arne Slot, I'm sure, will be trying to convince us that it ended in a draw because set-piece goals don't count. We call him Arnie Slut the way we've been getting opened up recently, man. He's starting a whole new challenge of his own, by the way, at this rate, because we are not 4 losses in a row. Speaking of that United fan, he'll be warming up to use those hair clippers for the first time since the Cold War. United commenting on one of his posts. Brighton 2, Manchester United 1. Look, Manchester United, you're lucky that Mo Salah didn't play. That's all I'm going to say on this situation. Alexander Isak has now been involved in 6 losses in a row. Maybe he's the problem. Has anyone got the receipt for my man under the sofa or saying? Because I'm going to need him to warm up very quickly. Curtis Jones, meanwhile, is absolutely fuming with Arnie, wanting to start instead of Alexis McAllister.
I'm fucking raging. I'll have a sweat.
And apparently an emergency meeting was called amongst Liverpool higher-ups and players. Right, I'm not being funny, lads, but Federico Chiesa's tied to a radiator in reactor. Meanwhile, Anfield agenda will be fuming when he realises the meeting's got Ibrahima Konate, Cody Gakpo and Ryan Gravenberch in it.
Why is everyone black?
Oh my God.
So when Liverpool started threatening to play more football this week with a game against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League, my mental state took a pretty big hit. At least we've got international break coming up in November, guys. We can take a break from this. But thankfully for the Reds, we bounced back despite going 1-0 down with a 5-1 battering of our Bundesliga foe. They did a lovely Diogo Jota tribute for this game, naming him on the bench on the big screens in the stadium. They took the lead, but former Frankfurt forward Hugo Ekitike equalised before Florian Wirtz grabbed himself 2 assists. That's why he's the god! He needed Bundesliga clubs to get back into things. I've seen the light. That's 2 assists now for Florian in 11 games. You do the maths. That's an assist every match. All I'm saying is Alexander Isak got substituted off. We got Wirtz assists. No assist. Ekitike might genuinely be the greatest footballer in the world. I don't mean to jump the gun. But back to Florian, and he could have left with even more had Mo Salah decided to square the ball to him in this situation.
What kind of shot is that?
Mo, I swear to fucking God, man. We got PR to manage here, yeah? Florian absolutely fuming at full time with the Egyptian. Look, whilst this was pretty egregious, Mo Salah can be selfish sometimes. He wouldn't score the amount of goals that he does if he wasn't. But in this situation, he's got to square it. I do believe he's been out of form so far. It's been a poor start to the season for the Egyptian. But let's be fucking honest. This guy has dragged us to trophy after trophy. And the fact that he's getting actual full-blown abuse on social media is ridiculous. Liverpool fans that are giving that to him, fucking check yourselves, because this guy's going to go down as one of the greatest players in our football club's history, whether he started the 2025-26 season a little bit slowly or not. There was drama at the Emirates in the build-up to L8 at the Bacchico between Arsenal and Atletico Madrid. This match promised to produce unspeakable levels of haram. All-round terrible was promised, and the antics started well before kickoff. Whilst Jan Oblak built a 4-bed semi-detached house in between his goalposts, Diego Simeone wanted to relax, only to find out there was no hot water in the showers. Atletico staff were absolutely fuming to find out Arteta had been using the power for his team talk light bulbs. I'm hearing Thomas Lemar was confused when the water came out at -7 degrees Celsius.
Why is it already cold and nothing ain't even happened yet?
Mikel Arteta, he's just a master tactician, off the pitch as well. Air conditioning set at maximum because they don't have cold in Spain. The away dressing room looking like the average living room in Scunthorpe. He's a genius. He's even hosting the game in the UK. I mean, it's just how did he even think of that? Mikel was fuming with the club janitor when he accidentally put the radiator on.
That's the fucking standard.
But on the pitch, and Arsenal did not keep their side of the bargain, actually being entertaining, smoking Atletico 4-0 with a second-half onslaught. Gabriel was being marked by 5 defenders, but Atletico still conceded, and he celebrated with the corner flag. Whoever this set-piece geezer is for Arsenal, they're going to be on their way to the Ballon d'Or this season. But in terms of defensively, Arsenal have only conceded 1 goal from open play this season. That's absolutely crazy, especially when they've got Calafiori focusing on bucking ones into the area instead of defending. As for Atletico, their fans were coming up with excuses. We mustn't forget that there was no hot water. Meanwhile, Diego Simeone was sat in his cold shower afterwards, fresh off a hot beating from Set Piece FC. There was unlimited action in Germany as PSG dismantled Bayer Leverkusen with a 7-2 win. This one was chaos all round, but the first half was fucking taking the biscuit. 2 red cards, 2 penalties, and 4 goals is mental. And it left Bayer Leverkusen begging for the half to end. They must have been doing up rush goalkeepers for the first 45 minutes. PSG think they're on pay-per-view. They're just providing entertainment for no reason, and I love it. Bayer Leverkusen's captain, Florian Andrich, was the first person to get sent off here after delivering the people's elbow to Desiree Doué. Hang it in the Louvre, honestly. They've got a bit more space in there now after the robbery. PSG got to be favourites for the tournament again, alongside the likes of Bayern, Barcelona, Real, Arsenal. And we cannot leave Alexander Isak's February sharpness out of this. I felt bad for Leverkusen. Honestly, Aleix Garcia scored an absolute screamer in this one for our first goal of the week, and he didn't even get a chance to celebrate it because they were 5-2 down. Chelsea also delivered a battering, this time to Eredivisie side Ajax. 5-1 to score, 3 teenagers scoring for Chelsea for the first time in Champions League history in the form of Mark Guiu, Tyrick George, and Esteval. Ajax must have read the wrong part of the script with an early red card that is usually reserved for Chelsea this season. Meanwhile, Wout Weghorst was getting grief from Blue supporters. Newcastle faced off against Portuguese side Benfica, with Nick Pope grabbing a 60-yard throw assist for Harvey Barnes. That is absolutely mental. Bro's got a cannon of a shoulder. Meanwhile, Benfica fans were absolutely fuming with the goal scorer.
Hey, fuck you, Harvey Barnes!
Barca faced off against Olympiacos, and once again a pretty one-sided scoreline here. Marcus Rashford is going nuts again, but Fermin Lopez was the star of the show with a hat-trick. Lamine Yamal had a kiss for his girlfriend in the stands, and I assume like 8 other women, but the red card delivered to Olympiacos was perhaps perhaps the worst piece of officiating I've ever seen in my life. A second yellow card here delivered to the Olympiacos player for his arm thrashing out and hitting a Barca player by accident, and he didn't even make contact with the defender. That's absolutely crazy. On CBS, meanwhile, and Kate Scott had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction.
My top.
Really?
Yes.
Thierry Henry looked down a little bit too quickly on that one. Of course we'll have a look. But now it is time for the Kairat segment. Did you know that next to Kairat Stadium, imaginatively named Central Stadium, is another football pitch called Spare Field? Yeah, they just haven't that on the spare one, just in case there's something wrong with the Central Stadium. This week's game for Kairat saw both the Champions League minnows face off against each other. Kairat of Kazakhstan versus Paphos of Cyprus. Both of them trying to work out how exactly they'd actually got this far in the competition.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
But for Paphos, and things wouldn't start all that well, as they received a red card in just 4 minutes. Imagine travelling 15 hours for a game just to play 4 minutes of football. Elsewhere in Real Madrid beat Juventus 1-0 at Bernabeu. Jude Bellingham scored the only goal here. Look, Juve, I know you're named like the old lady as a nickname, but it doesn't mean you have to actually play like you've got hip replacements. Now, back in the Premier League, and one situation has been sweeping the country, and that is Nottingham Forest's foolishness.
At the end of the day, we always win.
As Marinakis-Postecoglou was put on the barbecue. The Australian, who took over as manager after the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo earlier on in this season, was also given his marching orders after just 39 days in charge, following on from a 3-0 loss against Chelsea. Now, I made a specific video about this situation as well, but 20 minutes after full time was when the announcement came from Nottingham Forest's official Twitter. Poor Ange probably found out he couldn't even get into the dressing room to deliver his full-time team talk.
Open the door. Open the door.
Sacked before the 3 p.m. kickoffs is an absolute madness. Yeah, mate, well, I always get sacked in my second month, so he knew what time it was when he got home and saw the Greek mafia parked outside of his house holding AR-15s. He probably knew what time it was before kickoff, I'm not gonna lie, because he turned up to the pre-match press conference looking like he'd done about 6 lines beforehand.
Is he on fucking space?
I mean, what a mess, honestly. Sacking the guy 39 days into the job, probably paying out a crazy compensation. You know, Espirito Santo was watching this gleefully until realising he's now got to go back and manage West Ham United. And what it means is Sean Dyche has been announced as Nottingham Forest's new manager after absolute utter choke nonsense from Mr. Marinakis. Now look, I know what you're thinking, Sean Dyche, big Brexit manager, but I think we might see a change of his ways, yeah, with some of the players in that Forest squad. I'm looking forward to Oliver Dyche listening to Afrobeat with Ola Aina on Snapchat. Forget Brexit stuff, mate. This is going to be a 4-2-2 formation. Chelsea were conducting foolishness of their own in this game, as Enzo Maresca was having to pass around notes to get his points across after, of course, getting a red card against Liverpool. Reece James was trying to understand his bold scribblings. Meanwhile, the note that Marinakis-Postecoglou was getting from the stands was very different indeed. Chelsea trying to finish a game without a red card, by the way, is absolutely impossible, because Malo Gusto then got his marching orders and an early shower too.
This was the banker. This was the one that couldn't fail. This was one that's never failed.
I'm starting to think this is a betting syndicate going on, because it's getting very suspicious. Anyway, right, rapid fire Premier League. I've got places to do and things to see. Arsenal, set piece, win. No shots on target back-to-back against Arsenal at this point. David Raya is having to take up new hobbies at this stage. Bournemouth v Palace, carnage. 6 goals, shared points. Jean-Philippe Mateta single-handedly gets the XG of Botswana. Wilfred Zaha is delighted seeing him depressed at full time. Newcastle v Brighton, Voldemar the flick, very, very sexy. The BFG's got tech. He's homotextual. Wait, hang on a second. West Ham v Brentford, atmosphere sounded like an amateur snooker match in South Sudan. No one cared, empty seats. An AWS outage meant there was no semi-automated offside. This was just shooting practice for Brentford, I'm pretty sure, honestly. Absolute domination. West Ham will just be hoping for a top 17 finish in the Championship next season. Aston Villa v Tottenham. Matty Cash, crazy ping for Aston Villa's goal. And beautiful control from Luca Dean as well. We got to upgrade his name to Matty Money. Meanwhile, Amadou Onana said that the penitentiary was open on Instagram, and Jed Spencer's confused, realising he's ended up in his own jail cell. Now, in Spain and over at Real Madrid, they were helped massively by 2 red cards for Getafe. Criminal football club, criminal antics. To be fair, they really weren't helped out by Alan Niom, who came on as a substitute, then lashed out at Real Madrid Madrid player that was trying to make a run in behind. An off-the-ball incident that got him an immediate red card. He didn't even touch the ball, by the way. That's actually crazy, and the referee sent him to whence he came. Now, La Liga's been a pretty controversial place recently after Barca and Villarreal announced their intention to play a La Liga game in Miami in the US instead of in Spain. This has caused outright protest from basically every other team in the league. Espanyol and Real Oviedo players staging a 30-second protest not starting the game at kickoff this weekend, which was met by La Liga only broadcasting the game from the 31st second instead.
I thought, you fucker, but you clever fucker.
But there is now news that since then, the game has in fact been cancelled. It's a win for football, a pretty big loss for Villarreal's owner, who found out live and direct in the stands. Clearly happy with themselves, La Liga teams across the country decided that they were just going to share the spoils all weekend. A borderline spooky amount of 1-1 draws going on at the same time. In Germany, and shout out to Lennart Karl at the age of 17, who becomes Bayern Munich's youngest ever goal scorer in a 4-0 thumping of Club Brugge in the Champions League. Being 17 and your name's basically Leonard, though, is absolutely insane. His brothers Clements and Diggory were absolutely delighted with him. Meanwhile, domestically for Bayern Munich, and they swept aside Borussia Dortmund in the end. Harry Kane playing an absolute blinder as he managed to complete the objective of playing in every single position on a football pitch in the same game. Yeah, so Harry, I'm going to need you to drop a little bit further. Yes. Maybe be like a centre mid. Yes. I've actually got gloves in my back pocket. Yes. His rating for this game must have been absolutely crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. Because the official heat map was nuts. Like, look, Harry Kane is an absolutely unbelievable footballer. He's always been a great creator with an incredible passing range as well. But bro was like slide tackling people all day as well. Bayern Munich using Borussia Dortmund's previous tweets on defining aura to categorize Harold themselves. Yeah, it's a shithousery award for Bayern here. And meaning that he's reached 400 league goals versus this random kid that's only got 0. Fam, release that kid in here. Why is he still playing for Bayern if he's not scored yet? Bayer Leverkusen continued a impressive run. They've not lost a Bundesliga away game since May of 2023. That's 37 games unbeaten. Impressive given Erik ten Hag's been a manager there during that time period. In Italy, and we've had maybe the most boring game week in footballing history, where only 9 goals were scored across every game. That's compared to 40 in Ligue 1, 27 of which were probably scored by PSG. In Atalanta's game versus Lazio, we were 30 minutes in and neither team had a shot. What have you even been doing for the first half an hour, lads?
Me? Just hanging around.
Rafael Leao was a goal scorer, at least for AC Milan. He went to celebrate and take his shirt off, only for his teammates to stop him halfway through.
Okay, it's killing the game, mate. It's not the same game it used to be.
Any kid that's got a bet on a yellow card's absolutely fuming. Hugo Ekitike, he's eyeing up a move to AC Milan as we speak. Meanwhile, some unconventional defending going on at Roma in an attempt to stop Pio Esposito. In France, meanwhile, a Monaco player, Christian Mawisa, was late to training this week. As is the case for any player that's late for anything, any training or match preparation, he had to spin a wheel of punishments, and it landed on him having to buy an iPhone 16 for all of his teammates. A pretty costly missed alarm. Meanwhile, in the Coupe de France, and we've got maybe one of the best penalty shootouts of all time, where Fontenay-le-Comte played against Cholet and won. I think Fontenay-le-Comte play in a lower division than Cholet, so I think this is a bit of a cup upset. The shootout, though, went to an incredible 17-16, with Fontenay-le-Comte's goalkeeper scoring the winning penalty. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, we got some more special strikes again. First of all, we go to Azerbaijan and their Premier League, where Kaim Paris has cut in from the right-hand side and has absolutely no right whatsoever to smash in an absolute screamer versus Karvan on his left foot over the goal. I mean, it's crazy. The pace of power on this is nuts. And if you think it couldn't get any worse for Karvan, well, it's been a pretty bad couple of games. They would then face up against some Kayet in the next game, where Alexei Yankovic would score a pinpoint perfect free kick against them. We're renaming them Caravan, bro. They're second bottom of the league for a reason. Your final goal of the week comes from Barnsley. Not many good things come from this place, but an incredible goal has come in the form of Reyes Cleary, who's found himself in possession of the ball in his own half before absolutely launching it the thick end of like 65 yards and perfectly put it over the goalkeeper. Like, genuinely, this is fit through a football-sized gap between the goalkeeper's hand and the bottom of the crossbar. We've seen a lot of halfway line strikes in this series, but this is one of the best that I've seen. Barnsley goal of the month, of the season, of the entire history. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes the beautiful game. Now over in Brazil, and Neymar decided to bring his daughter along to a Santos game. She was doing his celebration, which is actually very, very wholesome indeed. Love to see it. Only for her to be absolutely assaulted by a rogue football flying from somewhere in the stands.
Could have been killed.
Class header, to be fair. Yeah, it turns out it was the security guard that just chucked it without looking, and it just clamped her on the side of the head. And she probably firmed that better than her dad would have done. So, I mean, there's at least that. Over in Sweden, and Graham Potter has been announced as their new national team manager. He obviously didn't have the greatest of times at West Ham, was impressive at Brighton, and of course, before he even went to Brighton, he was a manager at Östersunds in Sweden for a long time, which means he's fluent in Swedish.
Svenska herrlandslaget. Jag kom till Sverige 2011.
Meanwhile, Victor Gyökeres will be confused when he sees Graham on the training ground after being loaned out from Brighton when Graham Potter was in charge.
Well, what brings you here, Potter?
There was absolute cinema in Australia this week, where Central Coast Mariners were on the verge of being defeated in the final minute after giving away a penalty, only for their keeper to make a save and start a counter-attack immediately. The ball went up the other end of the pitch, and after his opposite number made an absolute hash of a ball looping up in the air, Central Coast Mariners ended up managing to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. In Saudi Arabia, and Joao Felix is looking confused, I'm not gonna lie. Why am I in this division, man? What the? To be fair though, his teammate Cristiano Ronaldo scored an absolute screamer, real banger for Al Nassr in the Saudi Pro League. Not quite as good as our goals of the week, but it was a banger nonetheless. He ended up teaching Speed how to use the drums in the stands at full time. Memphis Depay was getting into a little bit of an altercation with a defender in Brazil, but getting the last laugh after making the defender flinch at the end. Speaking of altercations though, and none get quite as mental as this one over in Bolivia, where a keeper went flying in for a challenge, grabbed the ball at the feet of the attacker, and then went over to shout in his face. That then proceeded to cause a multi-person brawl with punches being thrown left, right, and centre, and the referee quite literally dishing out red cards as if they were 25-metre swimming badges. It was genuinely insane. I lost track of the amount of people that he actually sent off in this one. Fair to say things are a little bit one-sided in the Scottish Premiership as Celtic took on Dundee this week. How'd you have that possession stat and lose? Meanwhile, Panathinaikos fans have decided to go and support their local water polo team. I think Panathinaikos, like some other teams in Europe, are kind of like a group organisation that have hands in different sports. They must have a water polo team, and clearly they've taken my advice of finding a new sport very literally. Oh, how gargantuanly Greek. One of the biggest stories, though, of the year, in my opinion, is the story of Mjällby, who I've told the story of a little bit before in FTW and as a YouTube short, but their story is actually on a par with Leicester City's, I'm not going to lie to you. Recently, they were in the 3rd division and staring down the barrel of bankruptcy before back-to-back promotions saw them up into the top flight. With one of the youngest squads in the league and the smallest stadium, the tiny village of just 1,500 people have managed to win the Swedish top flight with 3 games to go and have the potential to break the league's all-time points record. It is genuinely an incredible underdog story, and the way in which they've done it is so inspirational. They even organised a homecoming for the trophy and for their players back into the village, and it was led by a tractor. Yeah, just perfect stuff in it, realistically. Elsewhere in Sweden, and this goalkeeper will probably feel pretty good about how he's managed to clear the ball until he sees that exact same football looping back over him from the halfway line after his opponent put a challenge in and accidentally ended up scoring. Their players completely gone out of the window in this next clip. I think we're in a drop ball situation. I believe this team was supposed to be like lumping the ball long to give back to the opponents, only their attacker decided he was going to get on the end of it, go around the keeper and slot it back into the back of the net, and it's fair to say the defenders aren't too pleased with him about that. I'm not going to lie to you. Meanwhile, in Bhutan, and I think we've got some pretty damning evidence of a pretty cut and dry red card here. How did you think he was going to get away with that? He's done it in front of everybody. Now, though, time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, we've got a couple of stories for you. I mean, the first thing is actually a clip. We always see batshit crazy things in Romania. I mean, why do you think they've got their own segment? But actually, both things, whilst mental, are kind of impressive. First of all, and we've got on a flexibility scale, where we've got a ball bobbling around and it looks as if it's destined for the back of the net, only for this defender to pull out a scorpion kick to block it off the line. I mean, if you're gonna get a goal line clearance in, doing it like this is just extraordinary. And the second thing, shout out to Metaloglobus, who are a team based in Bucharest. I really hope I pronounced that name right, because it looks absolutely mental. They grabbed their first ever win in the Romanian top flight. They're new to the division, and they did it in pretty crazy circumstances, beating their city rivals and reigning champions FCSB to do it. Closer to home, and a few years ago, David Neres shared the story of how he ended up, pulling his girlfriend. He basically messaged her saying, "I am David Neres, the footballer. come to me. Somehow, well, not even somehow, he's a professional footballer, of course it worked. It worked for him, but Ross here had a little bit less luck when he tried that tactic. Fast forward a few years though, and it turns out it did work out in the end after all, because now Ross is married to the girl he sent the original message to. Maybe this is some crazy strategy. It's like, someone else test this and send me the results, because I need to know. At Southampton, and if you don't laugh, you'll cry, their season has been categorized by some pretty awful finishing, and it doesn't really get any worse than this attempt. I've never seen a double missed sitter before. That's actually insane. At Bromley, and I've never seen the likes for them either. The League Two side, for a third time this season, are looking for an official from the crowd because one of the officials has ended up getting injured. We've got record timing coming now from Stevenage's women's side, where one of their forwards has scored a hat-trick in 1 minute and 46 seconds. How the fuck do you even do that? Most teams don't even restart the game within 1 minute and 46 seconds after a goal goes in. That's got to be a Guinness World Record, surely. Sheffield Wednesday found themselves in a unique situation when their goalkeeper was suspended. Well, they didn't have any goalkeepers left, so they had to conduct a 7-day loan of Joe Lumley, who's another shot stopper, and he actually pulled off a crazy save in his first game for the club. Maybe they need to extend that by another week. Not quite as impressive goalkeeping going on down at Chelmsford, as this keeper's come out and clamped somebody in the face. The official commentator for Chelmsford didn't seem to agree.
He got the ball!
But the screenshot, yeah, I mean, he's got the ball. He's also got the attacker's jaw, like, attached to his boot, so probably is a red. Worcester City were recipients of an own goal that genuinely defies all expectation. I mean, if you tried this another 100 times, I don't think you'd actually be able to execute it like this. Meanwhile, at Billingham Town, and they confirmed they were able to bring a total of 12 supporters to their match. The 13th fan will have been fuming when he arrives and they've run out of hot dogs already. At Hamilton Academical, down in the 3rd tier of Scottish football, which, by the way, I didn't even know it happened. Last time I checked, they were in the Prem. How did that occur? Anyway, regardless, they've been docked 6 points for paying trialists. Yeah, I think basically they were handed a transfer embargo, and to get around that, they were bringing people in on trial and secretly paying them and registering them for games. How did you think you were going to get away with that? I just want to ask someone that as a genuine question. That's absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile, it's time for your Shamrock Rovers update, because this story about their manager is a real twist of fate. You see, their manager, Stephen Bradley, is running the Dublin Marathon on Sunday of this week. Love to see that. Very healthy man. I'm sure it's great to keep fit. Very impressive. The slight issue, though, is that after a rearrangement of Shamrock Rovers' game against Derry City, that game in which they could win the Irish League Championship now falls on the same day as the marathon. So I think you're going to have to make a choice here, Stephen. At Sporting Calcer now, and after scoring late, their manager Ian Rose stole the show, bringing out the worm celebration. Made fair fucks. That's a really impressive one. Next up, though, and after a little bit of battling, some scrappy play in the middle of the park, we've got an absolute horror tackle on his own teammate. It's bad enough when it's on an opponent, but when it's your own team, come on, man. Meanwhile, in Malta now, and with Sanat Lions launching a ball in towards the penalty area, it looks like the goalkeeper should be able to deal with it. He didn't deal with it, really, at all. Yeah, he didn't even come close. It's a goal. It's in the back of the net. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is the segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football, and this time around, when it feels a little bit unfair, I'm going to take you down to Wythenshawe FC and their over 35s team. Now, this squad have been kind of walking the league, I'm not going to lie to you. They're well top. And they came up against the guy from Twitter this week, and I think he's clocked the reason as to why they are so good. It turns out that just a ton of random old Barclays Premier League footballers, upon retiring, have decided to join the same Sunday League team. They peppered our boys team here 6-2, which to be honest isn't even that bad when you consider Emil Heskey, former Everton striker Umar Niasse, former Manchester City midfielder Stephen Ireland, and former Wigan defender Mina Figueroa are all in the team. But maybe a set of Sunday League Hall of Famers. On to the weird stuff though now. I'm not gonna lie to you lads, bit of a peak one. There's only one weird story this week, I know, so I'm sorry, you can boo me if you want. Just not a crazy amount of weird shit has been going on, but it is a very booky story involving a team with a very booky name. We're heading over to the US Open Cup in the second round, where the incredibly named Sharktopus Football Club have demanded a replay, and they've got one. They believe they were unfairly treated, or there was an unfair bias at play when they faced off against Bellevue Athletic and lost. They managed to earn themselves the replay by protesting the fact that their referee used to play for Bellevue Athletic's second team. I mean, I don't really know how this was overlooked and how nobody noticed. I knew he should have only given them 5 penalties instead of 6. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.